Hello friends, welcome to jwreasoning.com. Well, it's time for the first governing body update of 2023. So let's not waste any time because I know you've been really excited about hearing this update.
Since June 2022, when we returned to in-person forms of the ministry, we've been hearing exciting reports from the field. We've seen a tremendous increase in the number of Bible studies. In fact, worldwide, we've seen an increase of nearly 30% since May. That means that now more than 1.5 million new Bible studies are being conducted. Isn't that wonderful?
Okay, so let's think about what he's saying here. Jehovah's Witnesses stopped doing public ministry, if I remember correctly, in March of 2020. So he's talking now about 2022. We're looking at May of 2022. So it's over 2 years later. No one has been in any public ministry. Nobody's been going from door to door. And now suddenly, since June of 2022 till now, this is January of 2023, they're so excited over this great increase of Bible studies. Bible studies? Really? Are we studying the Bible as Jehovah's Witnesses? Do Jehovah's Witnesses study the Bible with people, or is it a publication study? Let's call it what it is. Even when they call it the Congregation Bible Study, it's not a Bible study. You're studying a publication and looking up an occasional verse that is supposed to support what you're talking about, but many times it does not. But here they are touting and making this huge deal, trying to get everybody excited over all of these Bible studies that have been started, when really, if you just put people out there, they haven't been out there for 2 years, naturally you're going to find people who are interested. It's going to happen. It's common sense, friends. If they haven't been out there for 2 years and now they are, the numbers are going to tick up. Of course, they're comparing those numbers to the numbers that are down. The numbers are down because they haven't been throwing mud at the wall, so to speak. You know, an old salesman term my dad taught me years ago was, if you throw enough mud at the wall, eventually some of it's going to stick. And if you stop throwing mud at the wall, there's nothing going to be there to stick. There's nothing to stick to. Or if you pour water into a funnel and you have a real small hole, that funnel might fill up because it can't come out as quickly. But eventually, if you stop, what's going to happen? The funnel's going to run out of water. And so you have to keep pouring it in. If they're not out in the ministry, people, their numbers are going to drop. Their numbers have dropped. So now all of a sudden they're so excited about their numbers coming back up again. What do you expect? When you put your salespeople in the sales force, numbers are going to increase, especially when they haven't been out there selling your product for 2 years. This is just a natural occurrence, and yet they're making such a big deal over it. Now I'm going to spare you with all of the number increases and all of the things that they talk about, but let's go back to the video and just hear a few more things that he has to say.
Wasn't that encouraging? Well, here's one more example. In a country where the work is under ban, there was an increase of nearly 3,000 Bible studies since May. It's wonderful that despite opposition, the work is moving ahead. The governing body is thrilled when we hear these reports about what's taking place in the field. Truly, Jehovah is speeding up the work.
Is Jehovah speeding up the work? Is that really what this is? Or is it a matter of your sales force is back in place, your sales team is doing its job, so now the numbers increase? You talk to any company, which the Watchtower is a company, you talk to any company and they know that if their salespeople stop selling for 2 years, their numbers are going to drop. And when they go back, the numbers are going to come up. And what they're doing is they're comparing these numbers to the numbers that were just prior to their sales team starting up again. He says it right there in the beginning part. Listen to it again.
Since June 2022, when we returned to in-person forms of the ministry, we've been hearing exciting reports from the field. We've seen a tremendous increase in the number of Bible studies.
Since June of 2022. What took place? Well, in May, they went back in the field ministry. That's what the difference was. And they're making a big deal about this. Much ado about nothing. That's what this is. And this is what the organization does. But let's go back to the video.
Recently, it was announced that regular pioneers will once again have an hour requirement, effective March 1st, 2023. Pioneers are now busy looking at their schedules and planning how they'll be able to meet the hour requirement. The governing body, though, is realistic about the world situation. Many branches have reported that pioneers are struggling to meet their hour goal because of the rising cost of living, and many are contending with natural disasters, unrest, and war. In 1999, the governing body considered the situation of the pioneers. The January 1999 Kingdom Ministry said, "We have observed the mounting difficulties faced by pioneers, especially with regard to finding part-time secular work that will allow them to care adequately for their personal needs so as to remain in the full-time service. The present economic situation in many lands has also made it increasingly difficult for others to enter the pioneer work, even though that is their heartfelt desire. During recent months, these and other factors have been carefully considered." Because of those factors, the governing body decided back in 1999 to adjust the hour requirements for the pioneers. Now, 24 years later, as world conditions continue to deteriorate, the governing body sees that our pioneers are facing similar challenges. Therefore, we are very pleased to announce that the governing body has decided to adjust the hour requirements for pioneers effective March 1st, 2023. You may want to get a pen or something to write this down. Are you ready?
Pen and paper.
Here are the new requirements. For regular pioneers, the requirement will now be 600 hours per year. That is an average of 50 hours per month. For auxiliary pioneers, the requirement will now be 30 hours. But notice this. This is very exciting. During March and April, and during the month of the Circuit Overseer's visit, publishers can choose to auxiliary pioneer with a reduced hour requirement of 15 hours. This should make it possible for many more of us to share as auxiliary pioneers during those months of special activity.
I mean, come on, is this really that exciting? I guess for those who are pioneering, it is exciting because many of these poor friends are out there slaving for the faithful slave. And they're out there doing these things. They're the sales force and they're out there pushing the product. And this is what they're doing. And it is becoming harder and harder for people to do it. But I wanted to look at something. One of the things he said was he talked about 24 years later, after 1999, they made an hour adjustment. And that's now. Well, did you realize that just 23 years, I say just 23 years, but 23 years before that, they made an adjustment. And I have it right here. I actually have the paper. In a Kingdom Ministry, October 1976, there was an hour reduction. And in this October 1976, they took it from 1,200 hours per year down to 1,000 hours per year. They reduced the hours from 100 hours a month down to 90 hours a month, or it was 90 hours a month or 1,000 hours per year is what they wanted people to do. So for pioneering. So think about that. There was 23 years and then 24 years. I guess next time it'll be 25 years. But what took place in October of 1976? Why was there a reduction in hours? It's all about the numbers. Just think for a moment. 1975, the end was supposed to come. And when 1975 came and went, the numbers in the congregation tanked. So when those numbers went down, to make it look good on paper, they have to keep the average pioneers up. Because if we lose our pioneers, that's our sales staff. And if the pioneers aren't there in the congregations, it's going to make the others be discouraged. So to keep those numbers up, after 1975, in October 1976, they adjusted the hours. And then what do we have here? We have the same thing. The organization is shrinking again. It's going down again. So what do? Well, let's reduce the hours so that we keep that sales staff, the motivators, we keep them in front of the people, and we make it look at how our pioneers have grown. This is a corporate sales tactic. You make it look good on the surface, but really they're tanking. They're going down. And what do I mean when I say this? Well, think about it. The organization for years has had this sense of urgency. If the organization, in fact, is really concerned about getting the good news preached so that the end of this world can come, and if they really believe that the end is as a result of the preaching work, which I personally do, I think that when it's done, Jesus can come. But if they really believe that, why would they cut the pioneer hours if it wasn't just a numbers game? Because what they should do is they should keep those hours the same and encourage others to be more active. But what they're doing is they're dropping, they're grading on a curve now, just like they were doing then. They drop the number of hours so that they can increase what it looks like. It makes it look like it's better. It's kind of like taking your student, your school teacher, and the grade is 100. You've got to get at least a 91 to get an A. When I was a kid, it was actually a 92. And if you got anything less than a 75, that was a D, and a 70 was failing. That's when I was in school, in high school. Well, now they grade on a curve. So now I can get an A. I think even if I get a 90, I can get a top-rated mark. And this is what they're doing. They're dropping the numbers so that it can look like you're doing better. And that's all they're doing. It's a big numbers game. If they truly had a sense of urgency and they really wanted people to learn the truth about the Bible and they were really interested in getting the message out there, they would keep the numbers up. They would try to recruit more people to meet those numbers instead of reducing the hour requirement to make their numbers look better. It's not about saving souls, friends. It's about making the corporation look good and keeping people coming in saying, look at our growth, look at our numbers. When these other people are suffering and hurting, our numbers look good. And it's really cheating the system. This is what they're doing. And this is what this organization does. They give you a little truth, and there's always deceit mixed in with it. And that's what you have here. But let's continue in this video.
What about special pioneers and missionaries? They will now have an hour requirement of 100 hours per month. Sisters who are serving as special pioneers or missionaries and who are 40 years of age or older have a reduced hour requirement of 90 hours. How should we view these adjustments?
As a sales pitch to make your numbers look better. That's how I view it. And anybody with any business sense, with any common sense, if you can't see this, I feel sorry for you. Because what they're doing, again, is they're reducing the hours to give a title to someone. If they really wanted to get the work done, again, they would keep those numbers the same and try to encourage people to increase the intensity. If you have a sense of urgency, if I know a storm is coming, I don't slow down. When I'm running a race, if you've ever ran a race, when I was in school, we used to do what we called the 600-yard dash. And when I knew I was getting close to that finish line, you know what I did? I pushed harder. This is a corporate decision. This is a business decision. It's a marketing ploy. Back to the video.
This is powerful evidence of the great love and tender concern that Jehovah feels for his people.
No, it's powerful evidence that we have 8 men running a corporation or an organization. I shouldn't say a corporation because I really don't think they could do that. But they're running this organization and they're fooling people and they're taking people that they don't allow to think and they're making them think that they're doing the right thing by reducing the numbers to increase their figures.
We want as many as possible to retain their precious privilege of serving as pioneers.
And there it is. There you hear it. So we're going to make it easier for everybody to be pioneers, or for others to be pioneers, because we want to keep our numbers up.
And we feel that these adjustments will make it possible for many more to consider taking up the pioneer work.
Yes, if I take that grade curve in medical school and I make an A and 80% instead of 100%, we'll have more doctors. Is that the doctor you want operating on you?
Since the number of people requesting Bible studies is increasing worldwide, there could never be a better time to expand our share in the ministry.
Yes, we expand our share, but we cut the hours back. So I have more Bible studies, but less time to study. But again, it's book study or publication study. It's not a Bible study. So I have more, but less time to do it. So what's more important? Is it the number of hours or the quality of time that we spend with those people, showing them what the Word of God really says? You see, the organization doesn't understand this because they're pointing everybody to their corporation, to their publications, and they're indoctrinating you to think that you're doing the right thing. Friends, I know that if you're an active witness, this sounds bitter, but this is the case. This is the truth. I'm telling you the facts, and these men are not telling you the facts. They're spinning it in a way that makes it look like Jehovah is doing this for you. But no, this was a corporate decision made to keep the numbers elevated, to keep you motivated so that you keep serving them.
If you are serving as a pioneer right now, we hope that you'll continue. If you're not yet serving as a regular pioneer, would it be possible for you to do so? And with the memorial season just ahead, no doubt all elders, ministerial servants, and publishers will prayerfully consider if they can auxiliary pioneer. Can you do so? We look to Jehovah to bless all of these arrangements to His glory and praise. Yes, may we all continue to do our very best to find those who are rightly disposed for everlasting life. We love you all very much.
This personally really bothers me. Now, I don't know how you feel, but I just want to ask you a couple of questions. Does he seem sincere to you? Do you think that he really loves you? Does he look like he's faking or pushing a smile? Does it sound like he's natural, or is this scripted? You know, you can usually tell when somebody's being natural or if they're scripted. And I can pick that out pretty quick because I was a school overseer for many years. And being a school overseer, you could tell if somebody had memorized their lines or if they were really speaking from the heart. You can always tell. It's very simple once you've been taught how to point that out and how to pick up on that. And I'm telling you that he's either reading from a teleprompter or he has memorized his lines. I know this just by the training that they, the governing body, through their publications gave me. So sometimes the things that they do work as a weapon against themselves. So friends, this is just a brief review of there was a lot more to it. It was about 30 minutes long. And I just hope that you got something out of this, that you picked up on these things. And if you didn't, I hope that this will help you to look a little more critically from now on. Pay attention to what they're saying. And friends, please remember that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through Him. There's no other way to the Father except through His Son, Jesus Christ. Jesus is the only way to salvation. There's no other way. And I hope that you'll continue to study. And my prayer for you is that Jehovah will continue to bless you until we meet again.